Hi, my name is Mike Godeker, and I'm with,
Melanie Stewart.
yeah, and we're here on the Silver Crow Method podcast.
Yes, we are.
Mhm. And today we're going to talk about a topic that's really interesting, the topic of surrender and basically trust, or what I
Mm.
call the fruit of clearing.
The fruit of clearing.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
with the curriculum that we teach in the retreats and also in the one-to-ones, we basically have a system. We have multiple models that we work on, the different things like chords, agreements, those kind of things. What the body is, how do we come to conclusions about reality? How do we build our character? How do we learn things? Does the brain learn things? That kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And when we go through all these different things, there's multiple reasons why we process all this stuff. Ultimately, we want to be conscious of how we make our decisions. And when we get rid of those patterns, they give us the opportunity to finally be normal thinking human beings that react rationally.
Yes,
Well, not
yes.
rationally, but we react through consciously. That's what I'm looking for.
Conscious programming, like what's running the program? It's our
So
consciousness.
conscious thought, not
Yeah.
automatics, but conscious thought, right? Yeah. And the patterns usually when we have those, it's not conscious. It's like automatic, and we come to conclusions. And that's when we have
Mm.
these issues like
Yeah.
self-sabotage and a whole bunch of other things that I talked about in some of the short videos. But
Hmm.
for the viewers here, if you want to learn about this, you're going to have to go to our retreats, our one-to-ones or virtual events where we talk about these things, right? Because it
Hmm.
takes a little bit more time. We got to build to that. There's a few more things that we have to discuss. So for this one, I think we'll concentrate on surrender. And for me, in the past, surrender was a big issue because I always thought that if I surrender to something or if I am surrendering, I give up complete control of who I am, what I am, and what I experience. And
Mm.
in actual reality, surrendering is something completely different. I mean, you do basically come to a realization about a few different things, but we'll talk about that in a minute. What about you, surrender? What does that mean for you in the past and now?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. There's more nuance and layering to it. Surrender for me has meant to just be at peace with something and to let flow happen, divine flow happen. Not try to make things the way I want them to be,
Right.
but just let go and let's see what flows in instead of my trying to make things happen. So that's kind of been my surrender
Hmm.
um, takeaway.
Yeah.
What has brought meaning to me in the recent years. I mean, in past, it could have meant like, surrendering to, maybe like something that was like a bully or like a boss situation or some kind of like peer situation,
Hmm.
and just walk away from it. So,
Right.
so it could mean like a walking away. So I think it depends on, like we were saying, there's so many layers and nuances to it.
Right. And I think surrender is only possible in the ways that we discussed when you go through a lot of the work that we already have done. So, for
Mm,
people that
mhm.
haven't been to the retreats and one-to-ones, there's different modules that we go through to release these things, and there's different journey work that we do. And some of the questions that were asked is, so what is this journey work, and why do you have to do that, and why doesn't a psychiatrist work? Well, the issue with the human brain is we do things consciously and subconsciously. When the brain learns something that, if I love someone this way, that happens. If I want to be loved, then I have to do this. And the
Mhm.
thing is, we learn what all that means and construct our reality on what that means inside our brain on our
Mhm.
experiences when we're younger, right? So
Yes.
if we have a great experience, then you're all good. About 99% of us don't have that perfect experience. Most of us have an experience of life. You have your ups and your downs. And these things, they produce those agreements, those chords, those blockages, intrusions, and then the patterns. And the patterns are the things that you can't get rid of consciously. You have to do that through the subconscious. So the journey
Hmm.
work actually helps us collapse those things. But the more important thing is when you collapse that, get rid of it, you need to fill it up with something positive. Otherwise, something negative will just come back in again and fill it up, and you're back to square one, right? So that's the reason why, for that one question, journey work is needed for this. You can't just do that by, oh, I understand this is that. That doesn't solve the problem. Why do
Hmm.
we talk about this so much? It's because we ultimately want to get to a point where we make conscious decisions and surrender that things will happen as they happen, but we choose to believe they will happen in good ways. We choose to believe that those things will happen in ways that are loving, that are nurturing for us. And although we don't control things externally, we know that there's a very high likelihood, and we choose to focus on that, that it's going to be good, a good outcome. And that's only possible when we get rid of all this other, you know, errors in the plumbing or in the brain that have clogged up the signals for that energy to flow and our thoughts to flow freely, to become our authentic self, right? So we had that conversation last time, authentic self, and basically these
Yes.
different things, they prevent us from being our authentic self. What is our soul construct? What is the person that we are in reality? What are our authentic beliefs at the core of us without all this garbage that has influenced us and forced us to act automatically? And surrender
Hmm.
is about that. So when we talk about surrender, let's talk about what surrender isn't. Surrender is not about collapse. So it's not the exhausted capitulation of someone whose resources have just run out, right? Because if you're trying to get a specific outcome and you don't want to surrender because you don't trust, then you're just going to get resentful, and you're going to create a new survival strategy that results in a new pattern. What surrender also isn't, it's not spiritual performance. So it's not the performed accepting of something without the underlying clearing of that, getting rid of those patterns. So if you don't do that, it's a very breakable serenity that can basically shatter at any time under genuine pressure. Um, the third thing is surrender is not passivity. So surrender, often people think of, is more engaged, or it's less engaged usually what they think, but we're actually more engaged. So the action arises from our regulated self rather than from whatever survival system or pattern that we're dealing with. So what does genuine surrender actually mean? So, and this is where it gets powerful. So genuine surrender for me is the voluntary release of the even trying or attempting to control what was never controllable in the first place. So we come at this from a position of fullness, not exhaustion. And we are trusting that that presence of will directed at what is actually within our power and not something that we can control, right? So it's
Hmm.
we don't control things externally. We control ourselves and how we face a situation. But in order for us to get rid of self sabotage, we need to clear
Hmm.
all that stuff so that we can do that, right?
That's the missing piece.
Yeah, yeah. So when you have all this
That's
stuff,
big.
yeah, because when you have all this stuff about the past, you're like, well, if I surrender, I'm going to get hurt. And that
Right.
comes from something. And that's not normal. Surrender is actually normal because we know we don't control anything external. But it doesn't have to be a negative experience. Choose to focus on a positive outcome. And that's where surrender completely transcends anything that we typically understand about what surrender means. Because most of society today is, especially men, quite often, because that's what we're taught. If you surrender, it's weakness. That's BS.
Mm.
Surrendering is the absolute gangster move. It's the absolute test of strength because you're so secure in yourself and you have
Hmm.
your own sovereignty that you choose to accept surrender. You choose to accept surrender. You're not forced to surrender, you choose it. That choice is a big difference,
Absolutely.
right? So, yeah, go ahead.
So it sounds like it depends on what kind of lens you're looking out of the surrender with. Is it, giving up and being weak, or is it letting go of because you're secure and you believe um, in the positive outcome
Mm-hmm.
that your surrender is going to provide?
Mm-hmm. So, surrender is a choice, right? Like you
Yeah.
said, it's a positive, it's a conscious choice. You also focus on positive outcomes. You believe that in that I trust and that I love and that I believe in someone or something, that I know it's going to work out because I have that trust. And even though I don't control how that person reacts to the things that I say or do, I trust it's going to be positive because I have that connection with them. Surrender also enables us to be connected to other people because all of us run around with the same default. In surrender, we release ourselves from the illusion of control. And the world right now is built up on you have to control everything, but you don't.
Mhm.
That's not normal. Normal reality is things happen dynamically in quantum flow and flux. We don't influence that that much. We influence our thoughts. We influence how we face things. So, what are the things that we control? We control our focus. We control the things that we think about. We control the things that we respond to and how we respond. And we focus in on creating the life that we want. So, what we bring into existence through our deliberate actions that we do every day in choosing to be positive or negative, in this case, positive. And then, lastly, it's the quality of our life, the quality of our being, who we are in any given situation. Those are the 4 or 5 things that we control. So, what the world has taught us in the past through, the way it is, and you have to buy products and services, is what we don't control are others' thoughts, feelings, perceptions, choices, and actions. What we also don't directly control is outcomes, all the outcomes, however well prepared we are for them and how well we prepare them. This one's much more interesting, the past, including all the agreements that were formed through before we had the tools. Focus on that one, the past. All those agreements, chords, patterns, everything. We didn't have control over that. It happened. And now, through this training, through the curriculum, through the virtual events that we do, and even these talks and bits and pieces, we understand that we're not responsible for the past that happened. We didn't control that. But we control now. And we control how we face that and how we process that past, releasing that trauma, releasing that negative energy, clearing up the energetic body, as they say in Tai Chi TCM. So getting rid of that disease, getting rid of those, that sickness and the thought patterns in the brain. So 2 more things that we also don't control are how others react to our boundaries. They react because of their survival systems and what their survival systems require. That means they react to our boundaries based off of their own agreements and what they've learned.
I just had something pop into my head. I just figured someone's behavior out as you were saying that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just saw a pattern. Um, wow.
Mm. Yeah, we can. If you want, we can talk about that, or if you want
No.
to. Okay.
The innocent must remain innocent.
Ah, okay. All right. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Yes. So last thing is whether it will be good. Whether it'll be a good outcome, we don't control that, but we choose to focus on that. Our sovereignty means that we can choose how we respond to the situation. And when we have that sovereignty and we've done the work, we've gotten rid of the agreements, the patterns, we know about ego and ego death, we know about the authentic self, about the luminous body, how intrusions happen, not being the martyr, and all those things. They enable us to come to this point.
Wow. Yes.
So let's talk about self-sabotage for a minute. I gotta talk about this one. I have to look at my notes about because
I have the Beastie Boys song Sabotage in my head right now.
do you?
Yeah, do you know that song?
Yeah. Used to listen to Beastie Boys a lot. That was from our generation, so without outing ourselves.
Yeah.
So self-sabotage is the survival system's most intelligent defense against the specific thing that we most deeply want. So the agreements that were encoded with the instruction, if genuine love or closeness occurs, I will be hurt by a specific way that was most devastating to me. When that trigger point happens, the system prevents the very thing the conscious mind wants or that we want through patterns that look like choice, but are the programming executing its protection protocol. So, what does this mean in simple English? Self-sabotage is the survival patterns that we've learned through our experience. And it looks like it's a conscious choice, but it executes because what we want triggers a system to say, well, when you did that in the past, you got hurt. So now I have to protect you, and I'm going to sabotage this so that you don't get into that situation again.
Hmm. Yeah.
Crazy. So much for conscious thought. So much for I choose. For instance, if you want to love someone and
Right.
and there's things in your past, well, if I love someone, then I'm just going to get hurt. Those are the agreements and the chords and stuff like that. Then that program will execute and it will stop you from actually making that relationship work or, that job work or whatever situation it is. There's a trigger
Hmm.
point somewhere. And then when that trigger executes, your nervous system, which is built to protect you, that firewall, that's why I call it a firewall, that rule
Right.
executes, and then your firewall, your conscious, turns on and it says, well, I got to move away from this because I'm going to get hurt, right?
Hmm.
But in reality, that's not true. In the past, maybe that was, but it doesn't mean that this will be the same thing. And you can't make that conscious decision because that thing's executing in automatic in the back of your brain. So the very thing you want it to be in love with someone or to have a situation or an outcome that is positive, your brain will try to prevent that because it's trying to protect you in some weird warped way to avoid the
Hmm.
same situation or the situation it thinks will be the same when you got hurt as a child or something else, right?
Right. Wow.
Yeah, and this is the reason why psychology is good. It has its meaning, but the way that we collapse these things is by working on them, the journey work. We go into the
Hmm.
subconscious and we have to replace these
Yes.
things with something positive, get rid of that negative energy, let it flow. I mean,
Hmm.
when I do this on myself, it often results in releasing a lot of emotional energy. And I've had this in the past before. The stronger those agreements are, the stronger that emotional response is. And that's just more proof that that emotion is stored in our body. Those
It
things that
is. Yeah.
that we went through, they're stored all over the place. They're not gone.
Hmm.
It's like you got to let that energy out. So when people talk about energy and other folks are like, well, that sounds like mojo to me. It's not. Your body saves every experience that you've done. And
Hmm.
if it's positive, awesome. If it's negative, there's going to be a spot that you feel a pressure, real physical pressure and pain. And there's a spot that indicates you have to work on something. And we've seen this in a lot of the events that we've done in the past, right? So when we talk about these
Yes.
agreements, people feel it in the chest or they feel it in the heart,
Hmm.
they feel it in the abdomen, they feel it in their stomach. And those are indicators of what that is. And when we release that, there's a feeling of lightness. And you fill that space that you've emptied with, something positive, with light, with other representations to make sure that it fills up again. It's not a void. Because every time we have a void, something's going to come and fill it up fairly quickly, right?
Yes. Wow. Very, very profound, Mike.
Mm. Yeah. Let's hopefully.
And this is all fairly new information that you've created
Yeah.
recently.
Right. So I created the entire Silver Crow method because I wanted to address the things that I went through, the lessons that I learned. Looking at different types of practitioner trainings, the sport trainer trainings, and everything else, auricular therapy, TCM. I try to combine all that stuff into something that is easy for folks to understand and that brings real results. And this work that we do with people, in the private settings, we see every time that it works. We see that we're really making a difference. And I think this is key. You
Yes.
know, there's a lot of systems out there where people are like, well, I'll sell you this and I'll heal you. You heal yourself. So, as a guide, when we go through the journeys, we're just a guide. We're not the healer. The
Hmm.
person that is on the journey heals themselves, but there's a specific way to do that. So, the
Hmm.
guide is important to make sure that it's a protected environment, that we go through these things and we resolve that, right?
Yeah, it's all about giving someone the opportunity to claim their sovereignty
Yeah. And that's important.
on
A
so
lot of
many
people,
levels.
yeah,
Gosh, it's just gets deeper and deeper.
yeah, yeah, it does. It gets really deep really quick. So, and that's why I think the retreats make a lot of sense because we need to put
Oh yeah.
ourselves into a setting where we can respect the medicine, respect the moment because these things are really deep. And it's not something that you want to do with a big group of people. It's something you want to do with a smaller group. So between 10 to 12 people,
Hmm.
I think was is ideal. And
Hmm.
that's why we focus in on the retreats, getting people out of that one environment that causes the pain or the stress, and then
Mm.
release this stuff. And after like a
Immersive.
short, yeah, like after a short weekend, it's amazing what happens. The stories that I hear about people that I've worked
Hmm.
with in the past and that we work with now, right?
Yeah, it's definitely transformative.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And it's a nice beginning step
right,
in a journey of a lifetime.
right. So there's something that I call the four-stage trust continuum. It's a fancy schmancy word, but I'll break it down. So we've got four different stages. We have hypervigilant protection, which is trust extended minimally under effortful control, um, retracted at first threat, and it's the most common pre-clearing state that people are in. So hypervigilance means that our nervous system was taught that we need to focus on signals, and if those signals are the wrong signals, we pull back our trust and we pull up the walls. So once we start going through the agreements and that protection, that firewall rule, we take it apart and we put in a new one. Then we move to a more proactional trust continuums, right? The next one is cautious openness. And that basically means first landing place after clearing begins. So you can feel the edges of genuine connection without being overwhelmed by that genuine connection. The next phase of that is conditional trust. So sovereignty is already present. Trust is extended generously to the reliable, with clear awareness of what the person will do if it fails. And then the last one is sovereign trust, free from conditional monitoring in any way, shape, or form. Whatever happens, sovereignty allows the person to respond to it. Trust and freedom. And that's where we want to get to.
Hmm.
And when you're in that spot, that sovereign trust, you release yourself from the illusion that you control others. You don't. You don't even want to and don't need to because it's no longer a factor. Whatever
Hmm.
happens, you know, you have your own sovereignty, and you allow the person to respond to it, and you give that trust, and you also have that freedom, and you're no longer looking for something, well, this is going to happen or that is going to happen. You release that, and that's for me a little bit more of a definition, of what surrender also means in regards to the nervous system. You get to sovereignty, and you know your
Hmm.
sovereignty, you know your self-love, and you're confident and, um, calm and grounded in the person that you are. You're more your authentic self. And when you're your authentic self, it allows you to be open and to share space with someone else, or to share space with a lot of people, or with a situation, etc. And that's where we want to get to. And that's the
Yes.
ultimate gangster move. That's the ultimate, sign of strength. Being so sovereign that, you let the things unfold the way they do. And I choose to see positive outcomes, and I choose to see that things will work out for the better always,
Hmm.
because it's more fun to think that way. It's a drag to think that everything's going to end in some drama or chaos or something else. It's way too much wasted energy.
Well, that's a protection mechanism.
Yeah, yeah, and you can only get to that phase once you understand that and work through
Yeah.
it, right?
This is also brilliant, all these different nuances and modules that you created. And it's because you walk the walk and you talk the talk.
Yeah,
You've
I
lived
don't
all
know.
these things.
I wish there was an easier way to do this, but I think that's another misconception. A lot of people think that, being a shamanic practitioner, that you just invoke something and then everything's easy, and then you're suddenly healed. But, what the practitioner experience has shown me is that it actually enables me to be in touch with myself, my brain, my nervous system, understand how it works, understand how I make the choices that I do, and how can I be more my authentic self? Who is that loving, kind person that I always was from the beginning, and how do I remain that way even though the things around me are not controllable, and it doesn't phase me. Well, I don't know if it doesn't phase me is the right word, but I don't let that influence me in a way that's negative, right? So I choose to focus on the positive, and I choose to see the good thing. It doesn't mean I don't see reality, but I create that reality for myself in a large part as well. So I can focus on the positive, or I can focus on negative. And if I make a conscious decision, I choose to focus on the positive, right?
Yeah. I remember when we first started talking about the shamanic stuff, and I was starting my own healing journey. I was like, I don't think I want to be a shamanic practitioner, but I want to. And then you're just like, settle up, sister. We ride at dawn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, it's from own experience. It's like you want to find
Yeah.
out, okay, well, what does this really mean? And you have to face your demons. You have to face these agreements, and it's not easy work. It's not easy work, but it's fulfilling.
Yeah.
It's the only true. Well, that's too much of a stretch, but it's one of the best ways of reclaiming yourself that I found. And I've read
Right.
psychology books. My first master of science was in leadership, and I got interested in what are the characteristics that make a good leader. What is servant-based leadership? What is ego? How do we get rid of ego? That's where that all started, like in 2012 when I finished my master's. And then I was like, I had the idea that I scratched the surface that there's got to be much more to leadership. I mean, there's many more components than just filling out some questionnaire for finding out if someone's a good manager or director, especially for business and just normally as a person, as a mensch.
Hmm.
And that's when I started going down the route of, or up the route of, shamanic leadership. It started off as leadership studies, and then shamanic practice, and becoming a practitioner. It allowed me to address the things that I didn't think were optimal in my own space, and to find out why. And I had counseling before in the past. When I was a teenager, that was a very difficult time for me. And the psychologist or psychiatrist that I visited in that past, because of some of my family and the situations they were dealing with, it helped me put a label on the issue.
Hmm.
It never really helped me to release the trauma and the abuse and the hurt. And this was a thing for me that helped me release that, and it's
Hmm.
continuously helping me find new things all the time. They're getting less and less, but there's still things that you find. And the journey's just been, yeah, it's been amazing. It's been a lot of work, but it's been amazing. And
Hmm.
that's why this curriculum, these programs, that's why they're here. They're things that I've gone through because I'm one of those folks that believe if you want to train something, if you want to teach something, you have to go through it yourself or you can't talk from experience. So
Correct.
if you don't have that experience, you don't know why this stuff happens. If you don't know why this stuff happens, then you can't train other people to recognize this and help others and guide them through the path. And more importantly, you can't help and guide other people to help and heal themselves. So, yeah.
Yes. And once you start doing all this, you naturally just start sharing your medicine with others. So
Yeah.
you sort of just start that practitioner path
Yeah.
because you want to share this with others. And you also train others to do the silver crow method as well.
Right. Right. Yeah. And yeah, a lot of these
And you're
things.
always adding more to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't imagine what it's going to be like
Yeah. I
in like
remember.
2 years.
Yeah, because I remember when I started with level two, the practitioner, and all these models that we're
Hmm.
talking about, there are 10 additional models to level two. 10.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like an entire additional training to level two. And I think
Yeah.
now I'm finally at the stage where I am comfortable with the quality of the level two certification. I believe that there's enough tools there now. There were in the past, but this describes how we work as humans.
Hmm.
Just today I was like, okay, well, now I want to work on the last two modules, and we'll have probably another podcast about that at some other time. It's
Hmm.
how we function as humans, and then take the brain, how it works, um, from an energetic, a spiritual, and a body perspective, and then, well, what happens when that is no longer normal stuff? What happens? How does abuse, trauma, um, and those types of topics and negative things, outcomes, how do they actually influence us? So how do these things how are these things created? And when you understand that, then all the other modules, okay, well, why are we doing this because of that? Why are we doing this because of that? You understand a lot more. And it gives people a much bigger perspective on how comprehensive the system is and why it works. I mean, the system works, you know. So, yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, and I think if people have a background with a lot of trauma, you can just see that as there's just that much more gold to mine and to be uncovered.
Mm,
And I always say that's releasing your soul's gold.
yeah,
There's just so much inside of you that's waiting to shine through because of all of your past traumas that you are uncovering, releasing, and healing from.
right. Yeah, and trauma doesn't mean that you're blaming other people or you're giving them responsibility for everything, too. I mean, there are situations where that is the case, but it's more about taking back control. So you recognize
Mm-hmm.
that situation, you process that, you release that energy, um, you basically change the agreements and everything else, the structure, and then you rebuild yourself in a way that allows you to react instead of
It's taking back the responsibility.
right. You take back your responsibility, but you also take back your life in
Mm-hmm.
a very tangible way.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is intense. This is really intense. I hope everybody likes this podcast because these podcasts are always based off of a lot of research that goes into, what are the topics we're going to talk about? Why do we talk about them? How do they fit into the overall scheme of things? And why
Mm-hmm.
is it relevant for everyone? I mean, relevant is all of us have had some type of negative experience in the past. All of us have
Mm-hmm.
agreements, cords and blocks and intrusions. All of us have that.
Yes.
So, you know, there's no one that I've ever run into in my life, and I've been to 35 different countries. I've never run into one person that hasn't had something that they were dealing with and didn't have that internal dialogue that was running. So
Mm-hmm.
when people say
Mm-hmm.
they don't need it, that's just, no, that's not the truth because the truth is something completely different. We all need it. So, you know,
True.
but like you said, the gold is there. Since we all have gone through these experiences, we
Mm-hmm.
can unlearn or we can put a new rule into our firewall, into our
It's
nervous system.
alchemizing. Yeah.
We can alchemize it. We can transmute it into something positive, right? And for
Yeah. And that's
instance,
where we become the alchemists.
yeah, yeah,
That's really what the definition of alchemy is.
hmm,
It's the transformation of the self.
yeah. So taking one metal and turning it into gold, and instead of the metal, we're taking us as people and we're turning ourselves into a better version, or a higher evolved version. And that's
Yeah.
by processing these things that are holding us down,
Yes.
elevating
It's
us. I like elevation.
creating more light, creating
Yeah,
more light, making us more lighter,
yeah.
elevating. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you've had some really fun woodsy walks recently that you've been sharing
Yeah.
on Instagram and in the Facebook group.
Hmm.
You're freezing. Oh, there you go. You've been going to some sacred sites there in Germany,
Right.
right?
Yeah. So, yeah, there's an old site not too far away from where I'm at right now that is the Carl Stones. And that was a place where the Druids in this region in the Germanic period, I think it was 782, there was a clash between that king at that time that was trying to convert everyone to a specific religion. And the people in the day, the
Mm-hmm.
Druids and the teachers of that time, there were some really holy places that are around here where they did their rituals, where they basically, did the solstice readings and, collected and gave education to a lot of the other people that were around here. Um, and during that point in time, that one king that wanted to be the king of all of the country was basically said, if you convert everyone to this one religion, then I'll make you the king of everything, right? So, and then that's when a lot of this stuff happened, where that deterioration of the old culture that was here. The Germanic culture, it was a mixture of Scandinavian and also Celtic. So the belief systems that they had here, and there are books out there that describe that.
Mm-hmm.
So the Gauls, which is more of like the France and Belgian area, then there's the Germanic area, and then there's Scandinavia. They were all, a lot of them, they had a lot of similarities. And this site is
Hmm.
interesting because when you get to the site, it just feels totally different. It's like you get there. It doesn't look
Hmm.
like much, but the stones are over 200,000 years old. They were basically moved to those places by the last remnants of the ice age, where that ice melted, and then at some point the rocks were in that water and they just dropped when they melted to a certain point. So 200,000-year-old rocks or stones, that's pretty old, right? So,
Very old.
yeah,
I think it's nice to weave in some of the mystical moments of
right,
shamanic practice with the practical.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like you get, sometimes you
And
get a feeling. Yeah,
right, you live it. You live.
yeah,
I'm bad at recording the moments when I'm in my mystical moments in the woods,
hmm,
just because they're my moments and they're the things that ignite me and fuel me and feed my soul. So they're very me on me, it's not like always for social media.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And you don't have to
but
always
those,
share it. Yeah,
yeah, those mystical moments in the shamanic practice and connecting to nature, they're there to be lived every day, as
right,
well as these practical, introspective things that we're also speaking about. And when we do our retreats, we take people on those nature walks and we connect with nature
yeah,
and we connect with all the mystical elements of it as well.
right. Yeah, and it's a very practical thing too, because when you walk in the woods, you just, the smell of the woods, the scent, there's chemicals in there too that the trees give off,
Mm,
and it just relaxes the nervous
yeah.
system. And so, why do you walk there? It's because we know it works. You know,
Hmm.
why do we, walk along trees and, just basically hang out and try to ground there? Because it works. You know,
Yes.
there's nothing to discuss. When you have something that works, then you use it. If it's something that's positive, connecting to nature, understanding that we have to take care of the planet that we're on and the things that we see,
Hmm.
it's just a natural conclusion. I mean, the indigenous cultures throughout the world that existed before modern times, they all understood this. And I think through the industrial age and everything else that modernized, we forgot that we're connected to the land. And we're connected because not only are we carbon based life forms and we have the atoms in us that everything else
Hmm.
has, it's just, when water flows and electricity is produced, then you get a shock or you get static electricity. When you're walking in a certain region with stones, you'll feel something because, there's, if it's crystallized or if there's water flowing underneath it, that's the reason why dowsing rods, for instance, work because you're generating an electrical current and you feel that.
Hmm.
So that mysticism is when you feel something. It doesn't necessarily mean it's not right. It means that you're feeling something and you weren't trained to recognize what that is. And
Yes.
that's
And there
mysticism.
are those mystical moments in the
Yeah,
practical as well, in
yeah,
all of these things that you're teaching.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So walking in the woods, connecting with nature, grounding, letting go of things that no longer serve, your greater good. Those are things that make sense. And the different places that I went to, and different tribes that I went to, learning from them, that's a blessing too. And from the different cultures that I went to. So, the different tribes that I went to in Panama, or different tribes that I went to in the Navajo Nation, or the Navajo Nation itself, that tribe, and going onto the reservations and learning and respecting the cultures and being in places that are significant for them. You really feel stuff here. And I can't explain it. You just feel something. It feels different.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, like
Right. You
around
can feel
Arizona, New
like a
Mexico.
buzz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like Sedona in Arizona too. Man, those vortices. It's like I got dizzy in some areas. You really feel it.
Mm.
There are people that do feel it. There are people that don't. But I felt it. It was, you had that sense that something was going on.
Hmm.
That magnetic, whatever it is, or it was there, and you felt that sensation. It was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, is there anything else on this topic, Mike?
I'm wondering, what do you think? Are we done with this topic for now, or?
We might be.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's enough
Yeah.
for now, right? So,
Yeah. It was a lot of information.
yeah, I mean, for the information, but also not forgetting to connect with nature, not forgetting to
Yeah.
walk in nature. It's so
Hmm.
underrated. So, even if you're,
especially this time of the year, if
yeah,
you're in the northern hemisphere.
yeah, like the new leaves, the buds are coming out, and that new
Hmm.
energy that's bursting, that cycle of life that we're shown, the
Hmm.
sense in the woods and the forest and the meadows, just interacting with
Hmm.
that nature, and then just walking in the area and enjoying it and just chilling out. You know, if you want to do
Yeah.
tai chi, do tai chi. If you want to meditate, meditate. If you want to do yoga, do it. Connecting with that spot.
Yeah. If you want to hug a tree, put your hands on a tree,
Yeah,
grab those new leaves and just connect and be grateful and get the energy of all of that new life bursting forth,
yeah,
then do it.
yeah,
It's there. It's all there waiting for you.
yeah. Don't let someone else judge you. If you feel that something's right, then do it. Don't let someone else
Yeah.
tell you what is right or wrong. Um, Find it out for yourself, and that's
You
one
can
thing.
always find me in the woods hugging a tree or hanging out with the trees, just gazing in nature.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
someone questions you why you hugging a tree, you can tell them, and you
Why
have to.
aren't you hugging a tree? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, do you know when you hug a tree, it sets off a chemical that relaxes the nervous system? Did you know that? It's like there's hugging a tree actually works. So if someone wants to laugh at you for doing that, and don't accept their judgment. Do you. You do what feels right for you, and don't let anyone else tell you what's right or wrong. I mean, what's right
Yeah.
or wrong for yourself, and you know, if someone accepts it, they can. If they don't, God bless them, let them go, and they'll do their own thing.
Yeah.
Do what
I
feels right.
I I encourage whoever I walk with.
Yeah,
I always go up to a tree, like, come get a hit off this.
yeah,
Just feel it.
yeah. Or when you're in a meadow, take your socks off and do tai chi, get grounded and stuff.
Mm.
There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. So,
And there's so much medicine just listening to the birds,
oh yeah,
watching the bees, the butterflies, just watching nature, watching the wind move the leaves. So much
yeah,
medicine.
yeah. When I before I did the one the reels this morning, I was walking in that part of the woods and I was like looking at this bug that was digging a hole out, and I'm like,
Hmm.
why is it digging the hole? And I was just like, okay, well, just look at it for a few minutes. Don't get distracted. Just check it out. What is it doing? And this beetle is like working its butt off digging a hole. I'm like, what the hell are you digging a hole for? But it's like you have to admire the dedication. This thing was like working. It's like, digging away. I gotta get something done. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And it's
Purpose. It was born to dig that hole.
yeah, it was digging that hole. It was like yeah, you're like looking at the legs and it's like, man, the strength that you need to have to do that, and it's just digging it. It's probably making
Hmm.
like a nest or something for itself. So
Hmm.
yeah, and especially I see a lot of crows right now. So many crows.
Oh yeah, it's very crowy that out there now
And
this time of year.
last night, I think last night or the night before, when I did one of the reels, I had two bats like fly over literally right next to my head. A pair of
Mm,
bats like, and then they're like flying around, and they come back again and fly over again, and I'm just like standing there like, wow, okay. It's like
very cool.
when dusk happens, when it gets a little bit darker, that's when they start coming out and eating the bugs and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, this time of the year, I just want to be outside all day,
yeah.
just out in nature,
Yeah, I mean,
walking,
our
observing.
generation used to do that anyway, right? I mean, we used to go
Yes.
out at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and you come back at like 9 o'clock at night in the summertime.
Mm,
I used to
yeah.
be out all the time. I mean, especially when it was summer. I mean, when school was out, I'd get out of the house at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and
Hmm.
at some point, um, when my mom whistled, it was time for dinner, and then we came back, and how many blocks away or wherever we were, if we
Yeah.
weren't listening distance and we heard that whistle, we're like, okay, got to hightail it back home. You know,
Yeah.
I think that was normal for our generation. I'm not sure.
Hmm. It was.
Yeah.
It was. And everyone just went to each other's houses, knocked on the door, brought everybody out. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. So
Yeah.
some good times. Yeah. So
Hmm.
take a walk. Take a walk out in nature. Relax a little bit, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes. Get away from the digital world for a little bit. Don't go cold turkey, but just give yourself some time. And
Hmm.
the breathing exercises, I would suggest do it in the morning and the evening. Start the day intentionally in good spirits, And then whatever happened during the day, positive or negative, do your grounding at night and just let it go. You know,
Yeah. Even if you step outside the door and you don't have nature, drive, get to a park,
yeah,
drive or get to a park
a
somehow
meadow,
and
a
spend time
park,
there.
yeah, whatever, yeah, whatever has something green or whatever is a little bit of nature there, whatever it is. Even if
Right.
you live in a big city, it's always possible, right?
Yeah. I drive to a park every single day. It's 5 minutes from my house. I'm so blessed. And it's a big recreational area. And I practically live there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do that a lot too. I mean, I've gone to this place like sometimes two, three times a day, like because instead of being stuck in
Hmm.
the office or being stuck in front of the computer, I need to get out. I need to have breaks, and
Yes.
that's why I go intentionally and have that break, and then just go out and sit down there for a little while. So actually, when we're done with this, I'll probably head back there for like a 10 minutes or something, just take a walk in the woods and just yeah, just do some grounding.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, cool.
All right. So is that a wrap?
That's a wrap.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for watching, everyone.
Thank
Please
you.
check out our Facebook group and like and subscribe and share this video with a friend.
Exactly. Share it with people. You know, there's a lot of information here. Share it. Sharing is caring, I think. And if
Yes.
you want to contact us for the retreats, for the one-to-ones, or for the virtual
Hmm.
events, if you're in our
Yeah.
group, that's awesome. If not, then just email me at michael@silvercrow.com or
Hmm.
melanie@silvercrow.com. You know, just send us an email and we'll give you the information. We'll let you know when the next events are happening. And then
We
we'll,
have a lot of events coming up now through mid-May.
yeah,
So, and that is on the Silver Crow Apothecary.
yeah. So that's silvercrowapothecary.com, right?
Yeah, with an O,
Yeah,
not an
apothecary
A.
for, oh man.
Yeah, like, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. So check that out and let us know. We'd like to see you at these events. And if you can't make it personally, then we can also do the virtual versions of that and just let us know, right? I think that'd be cool.
Absolutely.
Bye.
All right. All right. Bye.
Bye.